We don't tend to get a lot of snow here, and when we do, it never really lasts. Over the last few days, though, the hills around us have been blanketed in white. So, yesterday, because there was a bit of snow still in the air, we decided to make the most of it and go chasing the snow. Hello, my name's Amy, and welcome to a very relaxed weekend vlog. You've already seen the footage of us getting out and enjoying the snow yesterday. We were maybe only out in the snow for 10 minutes or so because it was pretty cold. But like I said, we don't get a lot of snow here, so it was great fun to go out and see it properly. Today, by contrast, it is a beautiful sunny day. I think the snow has mostly melted, although there's a little bit left on the furthest hills. I have been taking it pretty easy this week. NaNoWriMo, in which I was writing 50,000 words in the month of November, ended on Monday. If you've seen my previous vlogs throughout Nano, you will know that I did reach my goal. I got to 52,000 words on that last day. And I wasn't feeling particularly burnt out by that. I have still been writing all week and catching up on various different writing projects, but I'm definitely not working as fast as I was during November. I'm trying to balance keeping up with my productivity and taking some time to rest and relax. I don't want to completely collapse and do nothing in December. It's very easy to do that after NaNoWriMo, and particularly because Christmas is getting ever closer. But I've said in previous vlogs that I've got lots of things I want to accomplish before the end of the year, so I can't take too much time off. What I've been doing so far this morning is working on some proofreading / copy editing. I am going through an older book, which was the second one I published back in about 2015. I've had new covers made for the entire series, which are not uploaded yet. But looking back at that first book in the series, I felt that I hadn't done as comprehensive a job on it as I would have done now. So I've been going back over it, doing a copy edit / proofread. Sometimes I'm just fixing errors, but I am tweaking a few things that read as inconsistent because I wasn't quite clear enough the first time round, and also just rephrasing things that I can write better now with more experience. I'm very, very close to the end of this proofread. I got most of it wrapped up the week before NaNoWriMo, but didn't quite manage to finish. So I've literally only got 2 very short scenes left to go on the proofread, and then I've got a list of other changes that I want to address. There are a few things that, reading the book years later, I found I never fully answered in the first edit. So there are a few lines going in here and there just to make things much clearer. I've pretty much done all the proofreading work I'm going to do for today though. Earlier I made some dough to make some Chelsea buns, and that has been sat rising for about 90 minutes. So my next job is going to get those sorted, and then probably the rest of the day is going to be relaxation. I'm trying to do lots of reading throughout December because that's one thing that NaNoWriMo always makes me fall behind on, but we will talk about that later. Right now, we've got some baking to do.
Is it just me, or is it hard to agree with what you're trying to explain? I don't mind feather wings, no diamond rings, but that's not how you get to me, no. We could sit in the shade, talk till late, and then we'll see. We can go for walks, stroll down the city park, and maybe, just maybe, sweet delivery is never guaranteed, no matter the place or time. Oh, I like when you're whispering and really listening. Not too much fuss, so keep it easy. We could sit in the shade, talk till late, and then we'll see. We can go for walks, stroll down the city park, and maybe, just maybe.
It's about 7 p.m. My partner has just taken our daughter up to bed, so this is where my wind down for the evening really starts. As I said earlier in the vlog, I've been trying to get back into a lot more reading in December. And a lot of that takes place in the evenings for me, because it's about the only time that I reliably get to myself. Before I talk about what I'm reading at the moment, I wanted to do a really quick book haul. Now, I don't do hauls very often anymore, because to be honest, I very rarely buy more than one book at once. And that has been especially true this year. However, a few days ago, I went to a book shed, I think they were calling it. It was basically a sort of charity bookshop run by a local church. It's actually managed by someone who is in the book club that my dad attends. And it's basically a small barn full of donated secondhand books, and the lady who runs it just opens it up whenever any locals want to go in and have a look round. So my dad went earlier in the week and I went with him, and I picked out 3 books that I thought I'd show you. The first is this one. This is a really quite nice copy of the first 4 Earthsea books by Ursula K. Le Guin. Now, I am ashamed to say that I have never read any Le Guin. I think this is a real failing in my reading history. There are some fantasy and science fiction classics that I'm not that bothered about reading. I don't know how much they really can offer to a modern reader, but I don't think Le Guin falls into that category. And I have got several of her books on my TBR. So I was really pleased to pick up this copy the other day. Next up, we have got The Historian by Elizabeth Kostova. Now, I didn't realise a couple of things about this when I picked it up. I recognised the name and I didn't actually look at it too closely. The first thing is that it is incredibly long. It is just over 700 pages. That doesn't bother me too much because I read a lot of epic fantasy, so I'm used to long books. But that did actually really take me by surprise when I looked at the page count. The other thing I was vaguely aware of but didn't quite think through is that this is some kind of continuation of Dracula. And here we're getting on to another of my reading failings. I have not read Dracula. So now that I have bought The Historian, that is something I'm going to have to change. I am going to get round to reading Dracula sooner rather than later. And actually, sort of in the same vein, which I hadn't realised until now, we have got Longbourn by Jo Baker. Now, this is a sort of updated Pride and Prejudice told from the servants' perspectives in the Bennet household. Now, I have read Pride and Prejudice many times. It's another one that I've wanted to read for a while because I do love everything Austen related. Now, on to the book I am currently reading. This one, I showed it very briefly earlier, is The Watchmaker of Filigree Street by Natasha Pulley. Now, this has been on my TBR for an astonishingly long time. The paperback came out in 2016 and I suspect that is when I got my copy. My partner actually bought it for me as a Christmas present. There was this one and something else. I can't remember what the other one was, but I know I've read it. But for whatever reason, I'm only just getting to this book now. We recently actually took a lot of our books out of storage because they'd been all packed up since we moved, and this one caught my eye when we were taking things out of boxes. It's a historical novel set in Victorian England, but it's also got a bit of a touch of magical realism or fabulism or just fantasy in general. It tells the story of a clerk at the Home Office who is saved from a bomb by a watch that is left in his rooms months before. He then goes on to meet the maker of this watch, who turns out to be Japanese, and the story just gets more and more complicated from there. That is actually what I'm enjoying the most about this book at the moment. The plotting is so perfectly done. Every little piece of the plot seems to link together, but it doesn't feel contrived, which it easily could do. I'm about 2/3 of the way through this book, and I had quite a strange realisation about it last night. I've still got maybe 100 pages to go, but I found myself feeling that I didn't want it to end. I've become surprisingly attached to all these characters in just 200 pages, which of course is a very good sign, but I don't usually feel this with books until I get to the very end, so that did surprise me. It does seem to be very highly reviewed though, and at this point I am wondering if it might become a new favourite. I am enjoying it very much indeed, and I'm actually reading it quite slowly to give myself more time to savour it. So that is my quick book chat for the evening. All that's left now is to get down to reading.